So, the 2016 presidential election is insane. There's no other way to describe it. I mean, all the political rules... I've been following politics for... At least, I started following it heavily in 2008. That's when I was old enough to begin to care about politics. I don't have any memories of the 2004 election at all. So that shows how much I gave a shit back in 2004. But I thought 2008 was a pretty crazy election. 2012 was... I mean, it was Obama who was the incumbent, and it was Mitt Romney, who was about as exciting as an actual oven mitt. And now we have 2016. And when it started, and I heard that Donald Trump was going to be running, I laughed and thought it was the most ridiculous. I thought he'd be one of the first people to drop out. Because I don't know if the general public remembers or knows about this, but Donald Trump talked about running in 2012. I remember there being chitter-chatter in the zeitgeist about Trump running for president, and back then I thought the same thing. Oh, come on. The guy that says Obama was not born in the United States, you know, the guy that says ridiculous thing after ridiculous thing, no, he's not gonna... If he runs for president, it's just going to be a publicity stunt. It's not going to be a serious thing. And so 2016 comes along, and every Republican in the world decides that they want to be president. So, you know, at a certain point, I said, okay, it's Trump. And that ended up being the case. And the fact that that happened, that the Republican nominee for president of the United States is Donald Trump. I'm like, okay, we're in the dawn of a new political era in America. Because now, anybody can be president. Anybody. What I said near the beginning about the old political rules out the window, he had about 15 to 20 major scandals that would have ended any other person's presidential bid. Anyone. His campaign, if it was a normal year or a normal person, any other politician, just the speech where he said, I'm going to run for president, would have been the end of him. Because in his speech he said about Mexican immigrants, they're bringing crime, they're bringing drugs, they're rapists, and some... I assume a good people. That immediately, the media, these idiots on fucking MSNBC, CNN, all those places where they think so highly of themselves. Oh, we're so smart and we know everything. They're like, oh, Trump, he's done. That's it. He's done with that. And then he called for a ban of all Muslims. Oh, Trump is done with this one. Come on, get out of here. And it was just thing after thing. Scandal after scandal. And it just goes, it doesn't touch him. So, Kanye West could run for president and possibly win. He has said, I want to do that. I'm going to run for president in 2020. He could do it. He could do it. Name any person that you think of. I was going to say maybe Howard Stern could run for president. I'm like, well, maybe not. But then again, at this point, anything is possible. You think that it's going to end with Donald Trump? He's just the beginning. The next 4 Republican nominees are probably going to be foaming at the mouth maniacs. People think Trump is bad? He's setting a precedent. The next Republican nominees are going to be worse. So, talking about precedents, there was the Democratic side, and the precedent that was set, that you can steal an election and and not be punished politically for it, almost at all. It could be proven that you and your cronies stole a primary election. But it's like, we already knew that. We knew that, so who cares? No, months and months of being called conspiracy theorists by the media, and the DNC is not biased? DNC biased? Debbie Wasserman Schultz biased? Get out of here with your conspiracy theories. Oh shit, WikiLeaks just published everything, and it's totally true. So, the Democratic side, we had... Who did we have? We had Hillary Clinton, and we had Bernie Sanders, the one that I fully and utterly supported. Bernie Sanders. I love that man so much. So we had... I'm putting that on for the rest of this video. So we had Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders, Martin O'Malley, and some other person that he looked like Frankenstein, and he bragged about killing people in the service. Don't remember his name, and neither does anybody, not even his wife, more than likely. That guy, he's dustbin of history. You just get right on in there. Martin O'Malley stuck around for a little while, but he couldn't get off the ground. He went almost nowhere. Not entirely deservingly so. He wasn't so bad. But it was just his presentation. Again, the same shit you've been hearing since the 90s, since the 80s, since the 70s, since the 60s. Just repeating itself. So, at a certain point, it became very clear to Bernie supporters that the DNC was not being impartial, which is what they were supposed to be doing. The DNC was not conducting a fair primary election. Debbie Wasserman Schultz was the co-chair of Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign in 2008. And she was the one who was supposed to be an unbiased arbiter of the primary. She ran Hillary Clinton's campaign in 2008, but she is supposed to be not biased. Biased in favor of the person that she used to work for and has been friends with for years. What? What are you talking about? Conspiracy theories. Anybody who has been watching my show for a long time knows that I hate conspiracy theories. They drive me crazy, and I enjoy debunking them. But that's not, there's also... I can freaking tell when something has some validity to it, and when something is complete horseshit. And I knew that they were doing everything they could to make sure that Bernie lost the primary. And what do you know? WikiLeaks, a great, great organization. Thank you, Julian Assange. They released the emails from the DNC. I think it was right before the Democratic convention, which I was going to go to Philadelphia. I was going to be at the convention, but some things fell through and I wasn't able to go. I was going to protest with many thousands of other people that were going to protest. And it was all right there in the emails. We're going to try and highlight his religion. We're going to try and get a reporter to ask him about his religion. They're going to try to paint him as an atheist, basically atheist shame him. Because in America, if you don't believe in a sky god, then you can't be president. You have to believe in mythical creatures. You have to believe in thousands of year old books written in the desert. You have to believe these things if you're going to run the free world in the year 2016. And, talking down to Bernie, demeaning Bernie in these emails, it was clear that they hated him. And they were working to put Hillary Clinton as the nominee. The conventional wisdom in Washington was, well, of course, Hillary Clinton against Donald Trump, that's going to be the easiest election in history. That's going to be a landslide to rival all landslides. Even though she was polling far worse than Bernie. But they're just like, no, I know it in my gut, and it's telling me, the same thing that it's been telling me since the 90s. That the establishment people are wonderful and insurgent populist candidates who actually care what the people think and not what corporations that pay their bills think. That can't get anywhere. That's not going to become of anything. He's just a crazy, wide-eyed, Jew from Brooklyn. So to see all that come out and just to be proved what we all knew to be true, I just thought, history is going to remember this. And Hillary Clinton is a fucking fraud. Let me tell you some thoughts that I have about Hillary Clinton. She is everything that is wrong with our political system as it is today. She is the same kind of, not even the same, because she takes it to another level, a level of she's fake, she's just a phony, focus group driven, what do the polls say, stick your finger in the political winds and see which way they blow, and they're blowing that way, I'm going that way. She's that kind of politician. She won't do anything until it is politically good for her. That's not a leader. A leader would have said in 2002, gay marriage is okay. Of course gays should be allowed to marry. Why the hell shouldn't they be? You have a problem with gay weddings? Don't go to the fucking wedding. But no, Hillary Clinton said, I believe that marriage is not just a bond, but a sacred bond between a man and a woman. And Chris Hardball Matthews from MSNBC, he asked her, do you support same-sex marriage? She just gave one word answer, no. And the crowd goes, boo! Because it wasn't totally politically acceptable at the time to be for that, but any person really paying attention could see which direction the country was going. And they're becoming more and more progressive. Not more right-wing, progressive. But she was just like, the numbers say, the majority of Americans aren't in favor of it, so I'm not in favor of it. Even though I'm sure Hillary frickin' Clinton believed in gay marriage back then. But she couldn't say it because it's bad politics, bad business. That is not what a leader is. A leader is someone like Bernie Sanders who's been saying the same goddamn thing for decades and decades. You can't find dirt on Bernie Sanders, and I tried. Believe me, it's not there. It's non-existent. The worst thing that could ever be found on Bernie Sanders was, like, he said a few things in the 80s praising Castro. And not even really praising him, like, you could kind of infer that, he's praising Castro. Because God forbid Cuba does anything right. Yeah, Cuba's not good. We get it. But, there are bounds of reason. There are certain things that can be good. So, I just started getting really mad, and I gotta calm down. Because it brings it all back. It brings back all the feelings that this woman has a good chance of being president based on a lie. Nothing she tells people is what she really believes. The WikiLeaks emails that just came out. Those speech transcripts that we were begging for months, because if those transcripts had come out, that he would have probably won the primary based on that, because that would have been a big scandal. She said, you have to have a public position and a private position. Basically saying you have to lie. You do one thing behind closed doors and you do another thing when you're out in front of the cameras.